G'day guys and welcome to York Talk, everything sales and business. Absolute looking forward to this episode. Episode 3 coming to you every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm just going to refresh this so I can see the comments come through as we go through today's episode. First of all, I want to say thank you to every single person who commented, who shared, who liked last week's episode. It was absolutely fantastic. Remember, we were down the Gold Coast, and the great thing of York Talk is it doesn't matter where in the world we are. You know, we can come to you and give you some great information because ultimately at the end of the day, we want to make sure that every single person is as successful as possible. And these little weekly tips just get you up and get you moving and put you in the right direction. So therefore, we can manage our client base, we can manage our new prospects, we can, get out of bed with a bit more enthusiasm, and we can make sure we nail those deals, or we nail that job, So this is what York Talk, everything sales and business is all about. But today we've got a really cool episode. And this episode sort of came about, I was speaking to a few clients yesterday and late last week, and it's about gaining exposure and gaining that attention and making sure, they get those inbound leads. And so as an organization, we had our meeting to discuss what we're going to present on today's episode. And it was all about how can small businesses get that attention and that exposure when cash flow is so limited? How can someone who, works for an organization but wants to try and build a bit of a reputation and a bit of a brand and be able to gain all that without having to spend a whole heap of money like large organizations can? So we thought, let's go through today and go through some strategies so therefore we can help the small business, the entrepreneurs, help, the individuals who want to expand their networks and the multi-level marketers and the network marketers. And let's help them to gain that exposure and gain that attention. And especially when you look at how competitive the environment is right now. You look at within Australia, last week, 2 of the major banks increased their interest rates, yet the RBA hadn't touched interest rates. You look at the unemployment level figures came out last week, and we've got unemployment at the highest point in the last 12 months. So you start to look at where, the economic environment is with cost of funds starting to increase a little bit, unemployment rate starting to increase a little bit. And then you look at small business owners and entrepreneurs and, how do we get that attention and get that exposure and grow our networks without having to spend a great deal of money when everything around us is getting quite tough. So today's episode is all about how we can really maximize some efficient ways so therefore we can grow our businesses or we can grow our networks and we can really start to maximize that revenue coming in. So that's what today's episode is, and that's sort of why we developed today's episode, because of that reason, because of the economic environment being pretty hard and being difficult, and seeing and speaking to some of our small business owner clients and really going, this is what today's episode really needs to be. So that's so let's get started. So first point is for today, you look at small business owners, MLMs, someone who wants to increase their exposure, and they're on Facebook or they're on LinkedIn or they're on social media, yet they don't maximize it to the potential that it really does. You look at the numbers in social media to start with, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. So we got from January 2017 here, you got 1.86 billion active users on Facebook, 600 million active users on Instagram. LinkedIn's got 467 million active users. Google Plus 375. Google Plus to me is one of the staggering ones, and we're going to talk about having your websites and everything in one of our points as we go through. And Google Plus is critical because it helps with your SEO optimization and it helps with your rankings. Twitter's got 313 million, not as apparent in Australia, but is growing. And Pinterest, 150 million active users. The funny thing with Pinterest, depending on what your brand or your product or service is, 93 to 94% of purchasing decisions made through Pinterest with active users. So the stats for Pinterest are really high, from someone checking what you do to actively becoming a client or a purchaser of your product or service. So Pinterest, even though it's the lowest amount, the highest conversion for sales. So when you look at these different social media platforms, and we're talking about, your small businesses, your entrepreneurs, you need to make sure you're actively on these platforms. You need to make sure that, you know what, you're actively presenting the right information. You've got to understand what each social platform has and the message that needs to portray, so therefore you can hit your target market. And you look at social media, and Facebook's just is absolutely killing it, 1.86 billion active users. You know, if you go back 10 or 15 years ago and you try to set up a small business, or you want to go out on your own, or you want to become really, really massive in network marketing, to get that exposure is absolutely, you would never have had it. You know, so now with today's environment, it's a lot easier to get your name and brand out there. It's just a matter of, you know, how do you do it? You know, to give you some ideas of what we do here at Sales Coaching International, and this will help any entrepreneur, small business, etc. You know, so we do this York Talk every Tuesday at 1 p.m. We video it on this computer, on this camera over here, and we're going Facebook Live on this camera here, and we're recording on another camera over here. We take Facebook Live, we'll share that through the week a few times. We'll take the recording from this camera over here, and then we will upload that to YouTube. We'll take the audio from that recording, and we will then upload that as a podcast, and then we'll submit that into iTunes. So now we're building a massive iTunes library. We'll take the information from the notes here, and we'll then take that and put that into a blog on the website as well. You know, so we're taking one piece of knowledge that we present on a weekly basis, and then we spread that through a whole heap of different channels in different mediums, because everyone listens or watches or takes the information in different ways. You know, podcasts are really large, and we get a whole heap of downloads from our podcast. You know, YouTube, we get hits on YouTube. You know, we get obviously the Facebook Live, but then what we do, we drive everything back into our website. So therefore we can get the leads, we can get the emails in, we can get the online purchases. But the thing with it, it takes time. You need to make sure you're going to the right audiences on your social networks and your social platforms. So when it comes to social media as a whole, which really, in essence, internet now is social media, right? You know, you look at the amount of active users on every one of these platforms, and every time on the phone, someone's on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever it is, right? So you need just to make sure you're on there consistently. Get their name out there. Get your brand out there. It's free if you do it right. Make sure you take photos. You put comments. You like them. You know, make sure you like other people's content. You know, and start to build your brand around that social media. Because when you're starting a new business, or you're getting that brand, your personal brand out there, it's the easiest way. It's the fastest way, and it's the least costly way to be able to do it. There's heaps of programs out there which can help you stagger out your content, so you don't need to be sit there actively doing it every single day. You know, we use, for example, Hootsuite, so therefore we can manage the message and the times that it goes out. And these are really easy platforms to use. They're out there to make our lives easier, but it's there so therefore your clients or your patrons or whoever you service and their product users can get that message from you on a regular basis. So the first one there, to expand your business really quickly, to make sure that you get that message out there, has got to be on social media. And small business owners and entrepreneurs, or someone who's just trying to get ahead, don't utilize the social media platforms as much as they should. So that's the very first one. The second one, if you want to get massive exposure and get massive attention, and you want to localize it, so you really want to work your local market, then you need to get in there and you need to go to networking events, your meetup groups, you need to go to your Chamber of Commerce, you need to get out into your community and get your name out there. Now, there's a few strategies here that you need to do. You need to pick one or two of your platforms that you want to drive your people to. So you go and give your business card, or you know, you go to these networking events, and you want to make sure that you drive that person back to, is it your Facebook page, or do you want to drive them back to your website, or do you want to just drive them to your email address? So you need to make sure your business cards have where you want those people to go to. So if you want to go to your Facebook page as an example, because you've got heaps of content, you've got videos on there, or do you want them to go to your YouTube channel, on your business card, you need to have the way that to the direction and the movement from those particular people, and take them from that, say, networking event, and we need to take them across to your social media platform, or to your website, or to just your email address, you know, to your CRM page, whatever it is. You need to make sure you strategically move those people to the right areas that you want them to go. And that's really easy to do. You just need to make sure you understand your own business model, your business plan, so therefore you're pushing those people to those areas. You know, you don't want to just have your phone number for example, because no one's really ever going to ring you from the business card. So you need to make sure you're driving those people to a certain area, so therefore you can gain that attention that you need. So this one there was, networking, go to your friends and family and get your referrals. Press releases, ring up your local paper. They're always dying to run some sort of article on someone local within the community that has a message. So ring your local paper up and get a press release out there. There's so many ways that you can work, the media or, your local events, and they're free. All it is your time. And a lot of people start out working to be an entrepreneur or the network marketing or your small business, but they want to be living like their business has been going for 20 years and they're massively entrenched in their organisation and they've got a heap of staff. When you're starting out, time becomes, time is money, but you're working 24/7. So however many hours you need to work to gain this attention, we just have to get there. We've got to roll those sleeves up and we have to do it. The number 3, guest speaking. From my business and my personal experience, guest speaking really accentuates your name getting out there and that attention and that exposure really fast. So ring up your meetup groups, ring up your Chamber of Commerce, ring up your small business breakfast groups and say to them that you want to become your guest speaker, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and just share your message. It doesn't matter whether you're an accountant, you're a builder, it doesn't matter what you do, a network marketer, you've got a message that you can get out there. And a really quick way to do it is through being a guest speaker, so whether it be, like I said, that business breakfast or a meetup group, or even design your own group and bring people in. You might start with 5 people, then 10, then 15, and grows from there. But being a guest speaker really heightens your attention really quickly and becomes that influence, that person of influence in your local area really fast. And then you can then move that to your social media platforms. Then you can move those to your websites. Then you can take that content and really brand that content. So there's a really, to me, that's, people are scared of public speaking, but just get out there and do it, because you'll build that brand really fast when you get out there and do that public speaking. The 4th one here is for small business owners, critical here. Someone who's building their brand, whether it be network marketing, someone who's an entrepreneur and trying to become like a consultant. This next one is critical, so grab your pens and paper and write this one down. So many small business owners or entrepreneurs starting out, they have their business name, it might be, Wes York, for example, or AJ Consulting, they have their names, their business names around their personal names, yet their product or service doesn't correlate to their business name. So therefore they put their web address or their domain address as their business address. So if someone goes onto Google and starts to search for, say, accountants in Brisbane, you're never going to get your search brought up, because the domain name and the product or service that you're offering don't correlate. So therefore the search and your name search doesn't work in. So when you're setting up, you can have whatever business name you want, but you need to make sure that the name names work in with your product and service that you're offering. Too many business owners and too many people starting out get this wrong. You can have 10, 15, 20 domain names for the product and service that you offer. It doesn't matter, but most small businesses just have the one. So it's all about attention. It's all about gaining that exposure. And if I'm Google searching, say accountants in Brisbane, AJ Consulting isn't going to come up. So we need to make sure that we have Best Accountants Brisbane, Best Accountants North Brisbane, Best Accountants South Brisbane, Accounting Services Brisbane. We can have all these domain names if they're available, and then we can smash our local area. So therefore, if anyone searches accountants in Brisbane, we're going to have the first, second, third, the fourth, and we can do the search engine optimization on all our websites reasonably easy, and we can start to draw traffic into our website, which will get us inbound leads. The thing is, a lot of times, like I was saying, most small business owners, or people starting out, their business name and their domain name don't correlate with their product or service. So if you have that right now, keep what you have, don't change it. But what you can do is start to add another website, and just do like a 1 or 2 homepage, virtually like a squeeze page. So therefore you can drive them from that website to your main website. So you don't have to go and redesign a whole new website. Just do a 1 or 2 pager, which drives them back into the main website for yourself there, which also gives you statistics of what people are looking for. So to me, that was a really big one when we had our board, sort of our business meeting the other day on the show today, this fourth point we thought was going to be really critical for most of the small business owners, network marketers as well, anyone who's trying to take themselves from working through in an employment and go out on their own. To me, that was a really critical point. So make sure your website correlates with your product and service. Don't just sit there and have your website domain as what your business name is, because in a lot of cases it won't get that search out there. The last point I want to cover today is anything that we do, whether it's social media, your search engine optimization, from your website, domain names, etc. Persistence and timing is critical. Rome wasn't built in a day. We need to make sure that we allow the time for the traffic to come in to get that attention. You're not going to go and do one public speaking event and automatically your whole town knows who you are. So you need to make sure we're persistent at it and we're consistent at it. We need to make sure we continually do it. There's 1.86 billion people on Facebook, so the attention is not going to get there straight away. So we need to make sure we continually work at it. And you know what? Once we start to hit that traffic, then exponentially it starts to increase. But we need to make sure we keep going at it. We've got to make sure we don't stop, because as soon as you stop, you drop back to nothing. But let's really look at our business plan and look at where we want to be in the next 6 to 12 months. So therefore we can strategize the way that you're going to be able to get that attention and get that exposure. But everything we spoke about so far, it's really, really cost efficient. You don't have to go and spend, thousands of dollars on, Facebook ads, or you don't have to go and spend thousands of dollars on new websites. We can do them really easy. You just got to buy a new domain name for $20 and put a 1 or 2 pager in, which you can do yourself. Just Google, go onto YouTube and learn how to do a WordPress site. So all these bits and pieces are really easy to do and cost effective, because when we're starting out and we want to sit there and get new clients and bring revenue in the door, we don't want to go out there and spend a whole heap of money and expenses, because we want to make sure we conserve the money so we can go through and test time as our business grows and grows. So here's the 5 points, and let me just recap again. So the first one was social media. We've got to get on it. It's free. Unless you want to go and do Facebook ads and things like that, the rest of it's free. Like and comment, take photos of your new clients. We're getting some great comments at the moment. There's Shane, appreciate it. You know what? So social media is critical, but don't just sit there and jump onto a Facebook Live and leave it at that. Record it at the same time, make a podcast, put it on YouTube, make a blog. There's so many things you can do from one particular source that you're doing. The second thing is get out there and network, get out there meetup groups, do press releases, give the local paper a call, get your message out there, become a guest speaker, ring up your local Chamber of Commerce and say, look, I've got a great message. I need to spend 20 minutes. I'm not going to sell anything. You're just gaining attention and driving people from your network event or from your public speaking event to your website or to your Facebook page, where you're driving your traffic. The next thing is make sure your website and your company name or your website domain is in correlation with what your service, what your product and service you sell. Make sure it's congruent, because when people go searching for you, you've got to be found easy. And then the last one we talked about, make sure that you're consistent and persistent at it. There's no point in just doing it once or twice for a week and expecting it to happen overnight. It's not going to happen. Businesses do take a while to build up attention, and the exposure does take a while. So you've got to make sure we're consistent at it the whole time. So this is today's York Talk. This was the episode on how to gain attention, how to gain exposure. I want to thank every single person for watching. Make sure you share and like it. Make sure you go onto YouTube and have a bit of a look and recap on this as well. But the comments come in are huge. I'll get back and I'll go back through these comments and I'll reply to every single one over the next few days, because I want to say thank you to everyone. So share it, like it, give us a comment, and we'll see you next Tuesday, like always, at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for York Talk, everything sales and business. Have a cracker week.